I remember as a kid having arguments literally on the playground with my friends about who would win in a fight of King Kong versus Godzilla. Even though there was, the 1960s film which already existed, it didn't quite satiate that, that answer. It's very open-ended who won that fight. And so the debate kind of raged between friends of mine and, and I don't want to say necessarily what my perspective was at the time because I think it'll give away this film, because really my answer to that question, who would win in a fight, Godzilla versus King Kong, really hasn't changed since about first grade, I think. And so that was what was exciting about doing this film, was that I was able to put my stamp on that question, the big question of who would win in that fight. And that, more than anything, was the reason why I wanted to make this movie.
I think it's more layered and more nuanced than the good humans versus the evil giants or the evil titans. They're animals. They're not good nor bad. They do what animals do, The reason they go after each other, King Kong and Godzilla, is because they're both alpha. They're both apex predators, and there can only be one alpha.
A lot of the King Kong films, there's this dynamic of he sort of falls in love with, a beautiful lady and wants to save her, and that's the kind of thrust of the film. I find that this one was really interesting because the person that Kong has the most intimate relationship with is a child. And then I realized that the character they wanted me to play was a sort of Jane Goodall-ish type of figure, but for King Kong, which I thought was pretty interesting. I thought this was a kind of iteration of this movie where the women there was something different, and I like that about it.
This is like the heavyweight champion of the world fight going on right now. I guess, would I be considered Godzilla's Don King right now? Because I guess I would be. Because I really do care about Godzilla, honestly. It's crazy because you don't really want to pick a side, but you kind of got to pick a side, because at the end of the day, all of mankind is at stake. And you know that this fight is the fight of all fights. And it's, you just want to be on the right side of it,
As soon as I started talking to Legendary about the potential of making this film, I went back and I rewatched every single Godzilla movie in order from start to finish, which was definitely something I'd never done before. And I did the same thing with all the King Kong films. And it was really interesting because watching the original Godzilla films, it was almost like re-experiencing my childhood to a certain degree, because a lot of them I hadn't seen since maybe I was in second grade, especially the early Showa era ones. And so the process was just really unique in the sense that, I was able to reinvigorate myself as a filmmaker and as a person, in a way where I was able to kind of almost trace back the origins of what made me excited about movies in general.
I know Gia is only a child, but she's the only one I'll communicate with. And we need Kong to get in. The world needs him.
The relatable aspect, when I watch Godzilla movies, in the past I couldn't relate to it because there wasn't any young people involved, there wasn't any youth. So I think in these new ones, all audiences can relate, parents and friends, and that best friend that's the best friend to the crazy person, or that crazy person. So, I feel like that there's so much expansion of youth and age, and it's great. It's very cultural. So I feel like it's really cool because you get to have all sides of the spectrum all in one movie, and it's really exciting.
Millie is she's I don't know, she's been so awesome to work with. The two of them have, I don't know, there's something about their essence and the way that they carry themselves out in character and out of character. Julian is honestly just a big ball of happiness, and just always, he can literally make me laugh in a way that I'm just like, why am I? These teenagers, what? But we have fun, you know what I mean? We have fun, and we really care about each other, honestly, on set and off. And, I have not seen any of the Millie pranks just yet. I hope I never do. I hope that I'm at least in on it. I hope I'm on the right side of the prank. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that I'm the one that's like, and plus I could probably teach him a few things because I love pranking. It's my blood.
Whenever doing a film, I love to get to know the person that I'm working with. And it's great when you get to know them because it's hard to, like, if you're doing a crying scene to cry around a stranger, like, you just don't do that. So I love to get to know the people. And Brian and Millie, they're amazing. They just bring such a light to set and such just a laughter, and it's great. And Brian is the funniest person ever. You know, me and him, like, I see him as a big brother. Like, he's so fun to work with. And Millie, we just have a lot of banter, you know, just a lot of, you know, making fun of each other. It's very fun.
The cast has just been unbelievable. I mean, from, you know, everybody from Alexander to Kaylee, who's a newcomer. You know, she's a deaf actress, and she's 10 years old, I think, and she's probably the most professional actor I've ever worked with in a weird way. It's really bizarre. This is her first movie, but she seems to know more than anybody here, which is a huge relief. You know, anytime you're working with kids, it's, you know, there's always this kind of, you know, trial and error period, but with her, we never had any of that.
Kaylee is, number one, a really good actor. And that, you know, like, as I've got to know her better, I've realized that she's extremely funny and playful, and she's just a great kid to be around. And so I feel proud to say we have become friends.
I've always liked Godzilla, but 100% Team Kong. I mean, he's Nathan's guy.
It's not as simple as just saying, like, I think this person or this monster should win versus this one for this reason or whatever, and, you know, taking out my biases of who I thought should win going into it. At the end of the day, we had to kind of set that aside and say, okay, let's look at these two monsters objectively with all the skills that they have individually, and what actually happens when you put them together and they fight. What does that actually look like? And who would actually win? And at the end of the day, it's really the most important thing, even beyond who was the winner, to me going into it, is that there absolutely had to be a winner. You know, this is not another movie that you can, a versus movie, where you should walk away still asking the question, who won? This has to be the definitive answer to the question, who wins, Godzilla or Kong? And so, you know, my biases aside, I honestly can't say that I like one more than the other, because I love them both the same in completely different ways.
Pole vault.
Yep. Have you seen Julian as, ow.
Oh.
Handshake? Handshake?
Have you seen our handshake?
You have?
Oh, you have?
Let's do it. Sunrise, sunset, swimming fish, flying dove, it's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. Zoom, let's get married.
All right, here we go, going again, guys.
JK, can I get a hell yeah 3 times? Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Godzilla forever.